Okay, ready to go? So we're on Daf Chaf Hey. But if we can go back to Chaf Dalet Amud Beis, a few lines we left out last night. So just to finish it off. So yesterday's Gemara was about Arusa and Shemeres Yavam. In particular, Shemeres Yavam. The Mishnah said one way it came out of Machlokas of Yosha and of Yonasan. Can a Shemeres Yavam drink? That means that she was a Shemeres Yavam in the state of Shemeres Yavam after her husband died, before she married the brother. And she wasn't allowed to marry out. She wasn't allowed to have relations with anybody. And he was choshed her. The Yavam was choshed her and Kimi and Stira. So the Mishnah says she can't drink. And that's Rabbi Yonasan. Rabbi Yosha and the Brayso said that she could drink. Also about an Arusa, everyone agrees about an Arusa that she cannot drink. The Gemara had a technical issue, that there's another halacha that says, the whole thing of sotah is only if the husband had relations with her before the issue of the suspect boil. And by Arusa and Shemeres Yavam, the Pasha says they didn't have any relations. If they had no relations, then the Shoshi can't drink. That's the most kasha. So the Pasha Teres would be that they had relations. They weren't supposed to have had relations, business, not that they did the marriage now, she's still an Orus and Arusa, but they had relations as nus. They planned to get married, but it wasn't yet the Nesuin, and they weren't allowed to. But she's still called an Arusa, but he did have relations with her first. That fits the bill. But then the Barakasha about a Shemeres Yavam, and that the more about Machotis Rav and Shmuel, when Shemeres Yavam, if he has relations with her, is he kona lakol? Does she become his wife? Again, the Shemeres Yavam with the Shemeres Yavam, and they didn't take her as a marriage; they took her as nus. He's supposed to marry her, but he didn't. So does that kona? Does that make her his wife? So Rav says yes. Kona l'chol divrei, kona lakol. And the Gemara says here it only goes according to Shmuel, because if it's going to be according to Rav, then it's going to be his wife, and then she should be able to drink like a regular. She's not called the Shemeres Yavam anymore. That's as far as we got yesterday. So up to the 1, 2, 3, 5 lines up. Ihachi, or some take out the word Ihachi. Lema Rav Damak Rav Yoshia, Shmuel Damak Rav Yonatan. The Machlokas before the Brayso of Yoshia and Rav Yonatan, if a Shemeres Yavam is allowed to drink or not. Rav Yonasan said that she cannot drink. Rav Yoshia said that she could drink. Each one had a pasuk. And here the Gemara says superficially, it sounds like Rav goes like Rav Yoshia, Shmuel goes like Rav Yonasan. It's a little difficult Gemara, I think. I thought I'm going to get better today, but I didn't get it much better than yesterday. But here it says, the Gemara thinks that Rav fits better with Rav Yoshia. What did Rav Yoshia say? Rav Yoshia said that a Shemeres Yavam does drink. A Shemeres Yavam could drink. The Gemara is saying Rav holds like that. Rav holds a Shemeres Yavam could drink. The reason why Rav holds a Shemeres Yavam could drink is because it's his wife. The cases you have to say that the cases that he had relations. That's because of it has to be that the husband had relations with her in order to make her a sotah. So Rav says it's a full husband already. It's not anymore Yavam. She's not Shemeres Yavam. That's Rav. And the Gemara says that fits with Rabbi Yoshia, who said that the Shemeres Yavam could drink. It happened to be that he brought a pasuk to say that. And it's not just like Rav's simple way of saying that it's her husband. So Rashi helps us out a little bit and says that Anachanami, according to this tzad, that Rav and Rabbi Yoshia go together, Rabbi Yoshia's pasuk was super, it was only in a smachta. It wasn't really necessary. Rashi says, Rav Rashi gets out of it to say that the Yoshia will call like Rav, and the reason why she drinks is because she's a full-fledged wife. That's the Gemara's assumption that Rav holds like Rav Yoshia holds like Rav. It goes together. The fact that she could drink is because she's considered a full wife after they had relations. The Gemara goes the other way also. Shmuel Damak Rav Yonasan. Shmuel's the one who said that she's not a full-fledged wife. A Shemeres Yavam that relations with her Yavam doesn't make her married to him. Only as far as Dvar Mamur B'Parsha, which means that she only needs a get. She doesn't need chalitza, and also that he gets the Yerusha of the Yavam, but not as far as any other halachas. Sotah over here is not going to be included. It's not going to be considered a wife, and therefore the Gemara says it could be that she cannot drink. The Gemara is a little bit hard to say Shmuel Damak Rav Yonasan because it doesn't have to necessarily be like Shmuel could also hold that she does. Yes, she could drink. Could be a possibility. Could be that it's enough of a wife. But the Gemara fits saying that superficially we'll say that Rav goes together with Rabbi Yoshia that it's his wife, and therefore she surely drinks. And Shmuel holds that it's not considered his wife, and therefore she's not going to drink. And then the Gemara says on both sides it's not necessarily true. Rav could hold like Rabbi Yonasan, Shmuel could hold like Rabbi Yoshia. What did we say? That according to Rav, it's his wife. And Rabbi Yonason said that she cannot drink. The Gemara seems to be saying that it's an exception to the rule. It is his wife, but she still cannot drink. Again, the Yavam had relations with a Shemeres Yavam. No, it's not that they meant to get married yet. They just had relations. And Rav holds that it becomes his full wife. And now we're saying that she can't drink. How do these two things go together? Because his wife should be able to. So the Gemara seems to be saying that it's an exception. That the pasuk is coming to say that it's an exception, even though it's his wife. But the Gabi this, she can't drink. The Gemara doesn't say those words exactly. The Gemara says, on the contrary, not on the contrary, but that this is the source. This is going to be the source that it is his wife. Since the pasuk had to exclude her, that means it is his wife. That could be that Rav's source is going to be from here. The Gemara doesn't say this in other places that this is Rav's source, but here the Gemara seems to say these words that the fact that the pasuk had to exclude her says that it is his wife. So a Yavam that had relations with his Shemeres Yavam, Rav will say that here you see that it's considered his wife. The fact that the pasuk had to exclude her, that you cannot drink, you see that it is his wife. And the Gemara says the same thing on the other side, on top of Chavei, top line. Shmuel Amar Anadam Yafilu Rav Yoshia. Shmuel says that it's not considered his wife. Can hold up Rav Yoshia that she does drink. Some have the word klal, some don't have the word klal. But the point is to say that he'll say also the fact that the pasuk says that she does drink. There's a pasuk to say that she does drink is also an exception to the rule. Even though it's not his wife, she still could drink. So just to sum up the sugya, the svars in the list Gemara might be difficult, but just to get the general outline of the Gemara. There's a Mishnah Vayas that says everybody agrees that a Rusa cannot drink. That means that it's a stage of Erison, and Orus, the husband, he's a husband, but he's not yet Nesuin, only Erison. So it's not called Tachas Isha, and therefore he does Kinui. And if she's going to seclude, she's going to be usher to him, but she's not going to be able to drink because the pasuk only allows for drinking if it's in a marriage, in already that they already consummated the marriage. But if they didn't, it's only an arusa, so then it's not going to be drinking. The Gemara goes on to
does she have divorced? Does he have
yes, divorce her, yeah. If there is
no other way, because he can't.
Yes, right. He can't. Right. She can't drink, and she's also to him, so they have to divorce. So if arusa is going to become a sotah during the Erison period, she's going to get divorced without an option of drinking. The Gemara just says that has to be the case. The case it has to be that they had relations. It means not supposed to have relations until the Nesuin. They had relations, and that's the case that. If not, she's not a sotah. It doesn't become a sotah. This is only going to be if they happen to have relations. So then if sotah will kick in, and there's going to be a kinoi and stira, and there's no option of drinking. She's going to have to get divorced. That was about arusa. Everybody agrees. By Shemeres Yavam, the Machlokes, the Mishnah, it's like Rav Yonason, Rav Yoshia argues the psukim each way, and Machlokes if he drinks or not. Again, the Gemara says they only can be talking about that they had relations in the Shemeres Yavam state. If not, the old din of sotah doesn't kick in. It has to be shekot mashkivas balabol. It has to be that the husband had relations. And here the case, the chorah would be dependent on Rav and Shmuel if she becomes a full-fledged wife. When a Shemeres Yavam has relations with her yavam, not for nesuin, not for marriage, just for znus, does it make her his wife or not? So Rav says yes. And Shmuel says not, but the Gemara says it's not dependent on this machlokes. If she could drink or not, that stays. Each one could hold like the other one, and comes out to be passing like our Mishnah that a Shemeres Yavam also does not drink, even though Rabbi Yoshia argues that she could drink. But we pass like our Mishnah that both Arusa and the Shemeres Yavam, both of them cannot drink. And as we said, even in a case where they had relations. If they wouldn't have had relations, there wouldn't have been a din of sotah at all, because you have to have shchakot mashkivas while. We continue New Gemara now on the Chafei and the third line. So just the introduction to the Gemara is just something called Averes al Das. Averes al Das Yehudis. Rashi points out is Das Yehudis and Das Moshe. Here it is Das Yehudis. Averes al Das. The word Das means the law. The word Das means law. Today they call Dati. A person who's Dati means he's a law-abiding citizen. He's a law-abiding means a Torah law. That's called the word Das means law. Dati means he does the law. He's a person who does the law. What?
No, I'm surprised.
At what?
No, I didn't know that was the meaning.
The word Das means law. Yeah.
Kind of religion or something.
It doesn't mean religion.
Okay.
You say dati means religious,
Mm-hmm.
but that means following the law, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's what
The Sefer Rasu Madai.
that's what in Megillah.
Right. Good. Yeah. The word Das also over there says that the Sefer Rasu Madai the laws of Paras and Mother, they also own the Megillah. So the word das means law. Okay. But here it means the thing called das Yehudis, which means there's something called that a woman that she's a prutza. She's a veris al das Yehudis. Das Yehudis means the law or the way of the Jewish women.
I have down Jewish custom.
A little bit more than a custom. A little bit more than a custom. A little bit more than the word custom. Das l'chara doesn't mean custom. But l'chara. But the point is that there's a woman. Rashi gives a few examples. We had this in Ksubas a while ago that says that a woman who's a prutza, so that she's called that she's a veris al das Yehudis. She'ena tznuah, Rashi says, just to see Rashi on the third line from the top. Yosef Rosh Hapruah, she goes uncovered here. Tava B'shuk, that she spins in a way that her arm is gets revealed, uncovered in public, and with the breast and color and B'shuk. She speaks to everybody. She's too outgoing. That's considered a prutza. Tava weaving, but she doesn't have a long sleeve. She has a short sleeve in a way that when she's weaving, she's putting up her arm. It's considered, maybe other pshatim over there also, but that's a pashup pshat. But anyway, it's called a isha prutza. It's called a veris al das Yehudis. So in Rabbanan, the Chazal said that, like it says in Rashi,
So it seems like it's sort of a borderline. Is it against halacha what she's doing or not?
Yeah, but the way
borderline.
it's against halacha, but it's not called das Moshe. Das Moshe would mean things that are there, right? So das Yehudis means the way of the Jewish woman. She doesn't act like a good Jewish woman.
Mhm.
And the husband
So
has
that's
a
what
right
you
to
said.
divorce her. Yosef shalom b'ksuba. Right? Instead of
You're
what
saying
custom,
but custom, you're saying is strong.
stronger than a custom. That's not. But you are right that that's me. We do judge it according to the way of the Jewish women, and they talk about that. If the women have different customs, like the custom changes in time, does it change the halach of das Yehudis? The Gemara says what's considered das Yehudis, what's considered the normal way of the Jewish woman. Maybe you're right technically that the word das maybe is more like a custom than to say law. Okay,
Let's just
I'll take-
note that, but
yeah, could
okay,
be.
I
So-
hear what you're saying.
so it says in Ksubas Yosef shlo b'ksuba. He could divorce her without he could, or we'll see maybe he's supposed to, without giving her ksuba. Usually, for man, the man has the option of divorcing his wife, but he has to give her ksuba. But if she's overis al das Yehudis, so then he divorces her without giving her ksuba. So this is not our subject. We're talking about a sotah, nothing to do with the overis al das Yehudis. We're talking about a serious question about the Raisa that she warned her and she had seclusion, and now she has to drink in order to be able to stay with him. But the Gemara brings it as a subject because we're going to bring a ride from our Mishnah. So it's a left field question that's going to come into our sugya because of our Mishnahs. So here goes the sugya. Iboy lahu. Overis al das. Does she have to be warned? Means does she get a chance? That we see a woman who's being a prutza, whatever, she's talking with everybody, she's going with uncovered hair. And the halach is that she gets divorced without giving her ksuba. Does she get a warning first? We have to warn her to say, you're doing this, if you're going to continue doing it, you're going to lose ksuba. Or right away, he's allowed to give her a get without ksuba. Does she get a chance?
Meaning
The woman that's a very solid das.
husband,
What?
that the husband, does he warn her? Is that what we're
Well,
saying?
yeah, or Bezdin, whatever. Does she have to get a warning before
Okay.
we could divorce her without ksuba?
I
So it's tzricha asrol, lafsida ksuba, so and it's tzricha. And the Gemara goes at length to explain the question. At length, it elaborates a little bit. Mi amina chivin doveres aldas he lo boy asra. Since she's doing such a thing, she's transgressing the normal way, so she doesn't have to have a warning. Everyone's supposed to know that. Oduma tiboy asra tihadra ba tihadra ba. Oh, we give her a chance. We warn her, and if she's gonna retract, she'll stop doing those bad ways. She could, and then she doesn't can't divorce without ksuba. Give her a
Let's say
warning.
hadra.
She should retract. She should go back. She should be chozerba. Let her give her a
If she
chance.
repeat,
If she goes back on it, if she's gonna
the
retract,
hadraba means if she
do tshuva.
repents,
If she do tshuva, it's a good repentance, and we're not gonna. You give her a chance to do repentance,
if she repents, she repents.
Yeah.
If she goes back, she goes back.
and we're not gonna. And you can't divorce her without ksuba. You have to give her a warning. That's the most question. You have to give her a warning in order to give her a get without
So if he
ksuba.
just doesn't like the way she cooks or something, isn't that good enough to give her a divorce?
That's
Oh,
what
then he'd
we-
have
that
to
was
pay
what
them
we
too.
keep.
Right.
So here we're saying, we're asking.
Does he have a right to divorce her without giving her
without the-
ksuba, or without a warning?
Okay, I get it.
Tashma. So we're going to our Mishnah. The reason we came in because we have a right from our Mishnah. Just to zoom out a second, there are going to be three proofs. If you see all the greens over here, there are going to be three tashmas. All of them are going to be from our Mishnahs. The Gemara's assumption is, and it's going to stay that way, that this woman who's a sotah, besides having, not because she had relations, we don't know if she had relations or not, but she was in seclusion. That's surely called the veris al das Yehudis. Rashi gave a few examples on the top. She goes with uncovered hair. She's spinning thread in the shuk. She's speaking to everybody.
I don't know. I don't see why that's so pashut, because over there she's doing it often meeting. She goes out of here and it's out.
Here's a one-time thing.
It's a one-time thing.
Mm.
I mean, it's Mishnah Tzedekis, but it's a one-time thing.
I don't know. The Gemara seems to assume, or maybe I got different shot. I think that's what Rashi says. I think that's what the Gemara is going to read. that it's assumed that this woman who's becoming a sotah, she's Averis Aldas. The fact that she's secluding with a man, that's called Averis Aldas. I hear Gasha, I don't know, but that's what it seems.
A lot of times people, by mistake, they fall into yichud for a minute or two. It's not.
That's not the case. Okay, that's not the case.
That's not the
Still,
case. It's not so far.
Okay,
Well, aren't we saying that she does this regularly?
maybe that's what the Rabbam is asking, but the Gemara is going to state that the case of a sotah, she is surely included in the Averis Aldas. A sotah who secludes is surely
Not
considered
acting.
that she's Averis Aldas.
Now I'm thinking of an answer. It could be your husband. If she'd be stung by mistake, fall into yichud, probably your husband wouldn't warn her. Reason why he's warning her, because he's really chesed, she probably does it on purpose.
Okay, we have to see the Gemara if that's going to fit, but just
Okay,
let's get through the Gemara. A simple pshat so far. Rashi says this Rashi Lafsudik Sebasa. Let's look at it. Rashi Vizu Averis Aldas. Shenistra Amanashim. The fact that she has seclusion, that's called Averis Aldas. So they take that as a given, and we'll see the Gemara's proofs. But all the proofs are going to be based on this point that sotah that she secluding with a man is called Averis Aldas. So maybe it's not so simple like Rabbi Bum is asking, but let's take that as a given. Tashma. That's our Mishnah, beginning of the parak. It said these, we had just had it yesterday. The whole arichas we continue today, that these women are not eligible to drink, and therefore they're going to lose the ksuba. Mishnah, that's the Mishnah. The Gemara analyzes Mishnah that she doesn't drink, but there is a warning. It means that he does have to warn her, or else it wouldn't say that she doesn't drink. It would say that there's no kinui. There's no such thing as a kinui. The kinui doesn't apply. It sounds over here that there is a warning. In order to make her usher, there is a warning, but she doesn't have the option of drinking. Now,
That's what the meaning of Mishnah.
she doesn't drink. She doesn't drink.
Drinking, she doesn't.
She doesn't drink, but he does warn her. He does have to.
Not to drink, right? It's not
She doesn't have the option of drinking. Like it's in Aramaic to say lo so she doesn't drink. Lo so sabo maknela. Kenuye maknela, but he does warn her. It means in order to make her this state of whatever the Mishnah is going to say, lo shosos v'lo notos subasa, he has to give her a warning. Now, lamai, for what purpose does he do kinoi? Lav afsidik subasa, isn't it in order that she should lose ksuba? Now, that's the assumption that she's a Averis Aldas. The fact that she has seclusion, she is Averis Aldas. And even if he, according to one side, the Gemara is saying she doesn't need a warning. Means to divorce her without a ksuba, the Gemara is asking what you have to have kinoi for. If you say that any person who's Averis Aldas, any woman who's Averis Aldas, the husband could right away divorce her without ksuba, so then there's no reason why the Mishnah should sound like he has to do kinoi. There's no purpose in the kinoi. If he wants to divorce her without a ksuba, there she is. She's secluded without the warning. The warning is the whole thing about sotah, nor to drink, but the fact that he can give her a divorce without ksuba, so he can do that even if she wouldn't have had a warning. For what
Aren't
purpose
we
is
saying that the fact that he did the
warning?
warning shows that you do need to have a warning?
Yes, true. That's the most proof that you have to have a warning. Without the
Must be
warning,
that for a Verisat, you have to have a warning.
right? Because if you wouldn't, then there's no reason why that's that warning. But what purpose you have to warn her? So that says that without the warning, you would have to give her ksuba. So you see a proof from our Mishnah that in order for Veris Das to lose ksuba, you have to warn her. Rabbi says no, it's not Amar by low, not necessarily. There's another thing that the warning accomplishes besides making her lose ksuba. She loses ksuba anyway. Okay, really, she loses ksuba right away. If she was a Messiah, she had seclusion, that's enough reason that he could give her a divorce without ksuba. But here we're talking about Hilchos Sotah, that also accomplishes something else, that she's not allowed to be with him anymore. That's only with a warning that makes her into a sotah. Otherwise, she wouldn't be usher. If making her lose ksuba could be without a warning, but here we're talking about that she become usher to remain with him. So that's the reason why it says kinui over here.
As soon as he warns her, then she's forbidden to be with him.
And she secludes. He warns her, and she goes into seclusion.
Oh, and she goes into seclusion.
So what did it accomplish? To give her give her a get without ksuba could be a seclusion alone without the warning. But the reason why it talks about a warning is now she becomes usher. She can't drink. She's not going to be able to drink. Usually, it makes the whole
Here it's usher to him, right?
right that the husband is not. It's It doesn't mean that he doctor was doing it for the purpose to make her us. He wants to be us. He doesn't want to be with her, doesn't have to be with her. But she becomes usher to him after he warned her. If he warned her, if he warned her that she has seclusion, it has halachic implications that they're usher to be together now. They can't have relations anymore until she drinks, and she can't drink because she's in a rusa shmeres yavam, so she has to get divorced. But getting the getting divorced part, it would have been without a ksuba would have been you don't need the whole thing. You could have done that because she's a veras aldas. The fact that she's secludes enough, even without the warning accomplishes that he's usher thing.
She's usher, and now she could never remarry him. Right?
She has to get divorced now. She has to get divorced.
She
has to divorce her.
She has to get divorced, and then
And
even if she got divorced, she couldn't remarry him.
Yeah, right. Yeah, for sure.
And she doesn't get the ketubah.
And she doesn't get ksuba even without the warning. That's what the Gemara wants. Don't prove from here that she has to be warned in order to lose ksuba. She loses ksuba even without the warning if she would seclude. The reason that what's added on, the tosefet that happened by warning is because now they're usher, and he has to divorce her.
So we don't have an answer.
So there's no proof. We
So-
rejected the proof.
We're going back to just correct me if I'm wrong, we're going back to the question I first asked, does she need a warning to lose exclusion?
Right. The Gemara is still in the middle. Before we go on to the next proof, the Gemara has another way of rejecting this proof. There's a very big purpose in giving her a warning, not for the ksuba, but that she should be able to drink. But he said Arusa doesn't drink. That's true. But if it goes further, that now she's going to seclude after the Nisuin, he's suspicious of a man. So he tells his wife, don't seclude with him. They're in Erison still. The purpose of the warning is that if she's going to seclude once they're in the sewer already, so then he could give her a drink. The keynote that he does while she's in Arusa will accomplish that if she secludes when they're in the sewer already, then she could drink. The only point the Mishnah said is that if she's still in Arusa and she's secluded, then there's no possibility to drink. Lashkosa kishina suah. Kidatanya. Ein maktan larusa. Lashkosa kishia rusa. Aval maktan larusa. Lashkosa kishina suah. You don't do kino to Arusa to be able to give her to drink while she's in Arusa, because that's the thing that Arusa doesn't drink. She doesn't have the option of drinking.
She's
But-
not there, ishtacha.
Right, it's not tachas isha. But the kinoi that you give to the Arusa will accomplish that if she secludes while she's in the sewer, then she could drink. So it's not a kasha why the Mishnah says kinoi. That you should know there's such a thing as kinoi. There's such thing as kinoi during an Arusa. If the Mishnah would have said you're not marking it to an Arusa, that would have sounded like no such thing as doing a warning to an Arusa. There is such thing as doing a warning for an Arusa. If the Nisuin goes through, if she's does not have seclusion with anybody during the Erison period, so the warning accomplished it. Now that she's in the sewer, he doesn't have to do a kinui again after she's in the sewer. The kinui that he does while she's in Arusa takes effect also, that while she's in the sewer, she shouldn't seclude with this man. And if she does, she becomes a sotah, and then she does have the option of drinking.
Oh,
Because she's in the sewer.
it's
So
the warning, and she takes it to heart.
she takes it until she's in the sewer.
I see.
And then
That's
after she's in
another
the-
reason that we had the warning.
Right.
It has nothing to do with. Okay,
Right.
so-
If it was say the Mishnah, don't do kinui to an Arusa, there's no such thing as kinui, then you would have thought there's no kinui even if it's going to go into the sewer.
Uh-huh.
So the Mishnah doesn't say that. It just says she can't drink. She can't drink as an arusa. Means if she got kinui and stira as an arusa, she has an option of drink. But it doesn't just say don't do kinui, even though she loses suba anyway, we'll say, because the kinui will accomplish that even after the suba, and she's going to become a sotah if she secludes. So the Gemara didn't have a raya. Again, we want to know if the din of Eres Aldas, she loses ksuba, does she have to have a warning or not? The Gemara thought that it has a raya that she does need a warning, but the Gemara rejected the proof. We still don't know. Maybe she does not need a warning. Maybe she loses ksuba right away. The husband can give her a get without ksuba, even without any warning. The Gemara tries a second try, also from our Mishnah. Amar Rava. The Gemara is it's very smart. How the Gemara goes, we'll say the same raya over again, but you can't tell me this one is going to be in order to laosra, like Abai said, laosra love. Let's see the next raya. Both these two are multiply. Tashma. Amar Lakan Gadol, Gushal Chusal Lakan Hedyot, Mamzer Sinasin Yisrael, Vastral and Mamzer Nasin. All these cases are prohibited marriages. So the Mishnah said, you can't drink, no Tuba. There's no option of drinking. We said it has to be that it's a permitted marriage. But if the whole marriage is a permitted marriage, even though it takes effect, it wasn't Chayvi Krisis, it was Chayvi Labin, and it does take effect, but she doesn't have the option of drinking, and she's going to have to get divorced without a ksuba. But again, the same raya over again. The divorce, she's a veras aldas. This woman who's having seclusion, she's a veras aldas, and to give her a get without ksuba, if you say she doesn't need a warning, so then he could give her a get without ksuba anyway. Again, the first white line, the same diak as before. Mishtahu lo shasya, kinuye makni lahu. The Mishnah is mashma that she can't drink, but there is a purpose in giving her a warning. What's the purpose of giving her a warning? To lose the ksuba? That means that you need a warning to lose the ksuba. Elo, before we got out of it by saying that the purpose of the kina is to usher her, but here she's usher anyway. Elo is when Allah the first part of the Mishnah, Rusa Shmeres Yavam over there, they were by got a teretz to say that it accomplishes that they're not allowed to be together anymore, the husband and wife. But over here, they're not allowed to be together anyway because it's a chavi lavin. So you can't say that teretz. Also, the other teretz the Gemara said before that it has to do with the nesu, and here you don't have this whole teretz. There's no other. Both of us can fall off. Don't we see here that the purpose of the kina is in order to make them lose ksuba, and that means that without the warning, she would not lose ksuba. So you see, Averis Aldas doesn't lose ksuba only with a warning. Sounds like a nice ride. How are you going to get out of this one? What's the purpose of giving her a warning? You see that in order to make her lose ksuba, she has to be warned. I can get out of this one also. The purpose is to make her usher to marry the boil, the suspect boil. That means that we said that a woman who has relations out of marriage, she's usher to the husband, she's also usher to the boil. She's not allowed to marry that person that she had relations with. And if it's a suspect sotah, and she's suspected of a certain man and they had seclusion, she can't marry that man either. The husband divorces her, she can marry somebody else, but she can't marry the husband and she can't marry the suspect. So that's what it accomplishes. Over here, this Almana L'Kohen Gadol, she was married, a prohibited marriage, and to give her a get without a ksuba, you don't need the warning. The Gemara is trying that you could divorce her without a warning, without ksuba. But the purpose of the warning is going to accomplish that she can't marry the suspect. As it now, just like the woman who had relations, or the suffix relation, suffix sotah, she's not allowed to have relations with the husband. She's also not allowed to have relations with that suspect boil. So that's what the kina accomplishes. So still, it's not a raya. So rejected the second raya also. The Gemara is trying to, she needs a warning. We rejected the proofs. It could be that the warning accomplishes something else. It could be that you could divorce her without a warning. And now goes the final raya. This is going to be a good raya. Also from our Mishnah. It says in the Mishnah that someone who is not able to do warning himself, the woman is acting hefker way, and she deserves to be warned, but the husband's not around, either because he's a cheresh shota or because he's in prison and he can't warn her. So Bezdin takes the opportunity, the liberty or the authority to warn her and say, don't be in seclusion with this man. And what's the purpose of that seclusion? And the Mishnah says, "Perish lo lashko samru alo postom miksubasa." The Mishnah says, "Perish." That the purpose of the warning is not going to be to give her to drink. The husband's not going to be able to give her to drink. We don't give her to drink, and even when the husband comes, he's not going to give her to drink based on this warning. But the warning does accomplish the postom miksubasa. It says openly in the Mishnah. This is the words of the Mishnah. The postom miksubasa. The purpose of Bezdin warning her is in order to be able to divorce her without giving her ksuba. That's beferish. That you can't give her a get without, even though she's secluded. If you hold that Veris Aldas loses ksuba without a warning, there's no reason to warn her over here. She can lose ksuba anyway. She lost ksuba, she's going to seclude. So it must be that you need the warning in order that she should lose ksuba. And the one is happy with this proof. Shramina, by Yasra Shramina. You do see a proof that she needs a warning in order to lose ksuba. So we had one question so far today. That was this question on top. That a vera salda tzricha asra lafsid ksuba so edes tzricha, and the answer is yes. Tzricha asra, boy asra. The Gemara wonders why did the first ones not bring it by? This says perish Mishnah. It says you need a warning. The postum miksubasa. The rest of them, the first rayas and Rabba's raya, the first part of the Mishnah. Why did they not go jump to the end of the Mishnah where it says beferish this proof? How come the other Amorim didn't bring this proof? They said this proof is not such a good proof. The less names of the Baal, they take out the word clown, yes, clown, no clown. The last word maybe is extra, but the Gemara says that the last right is not such a right. It could be that here she needs a warning because the husband's not around. A regular woman that her husband's around, she doesn't need a warning, maybe, to lose ksuba because the husband's there. She has such a big chutzpah, the husband's there, and she's having she's having seclusion with somebody that everybody knows that's deserving such a big audacity that truly maybe it deserves to lose. Maybe it deserves to lose ksuba even without a warning. But this woman, her husband's not around, either he's a cheresh or a shota, or he's in prison, So it's not as big a chutzpah. It's not just a princess. Of course, it's a princess, but it's not as much of a princess if she has seclusion with somebody, or she's a very saldas. She's going with her hair uncovered and stuff. Her husband's not around. Her husband, for all practical purposes, is not around. He's a cheres, sotah. So here, she surely needs a warning in order to lose
Is
the
a
city.
sailor that also works? He's out to sea or something? Is it a traveler? Or is it has to be?
It could be.
Or is it
But
somebody who?
it could be. It says cheres sotah, or there's in prison. You say another case where he's far
Yeah,
away,
yeah,
and he's not available. It could be. In all these cases, it's not called that the husband's right now, and therefore it's more understandable why
She'll
she needs
have less
a
fear.
warning, less fear, and therefore it's not a more heter. It's just more psychologically we can understand how she doesn't feel so bound, even though she should, and therefore if she has if she's a prutza a little bit, it's not as bad as a woman who's a prutza when her husband's around.
Yeah.
And therefore, here she does need a warning, but it's not a riot that other women will need a warning. But the Gemara does accept the proof and say that all women have to have a warning, and she doesn't lose suba only if she got a chance. They tell her if you're going to continue like this, or they warn her, don't do this anymore. The Rosh Prua, Tava Bishuk, to be Mesyached, all these things, she's not going to lose suba only if they warned her.
That's why they didn't like it, whoever it was.
The reason why Rava didn't like the proof is because they said you could say a chiluk dafka over there because her husband's not around. But if her husband is around, maybe she does not need. She doesn't.
So they
need
brought
a
different
warning.
proofs, but they didn't work.
They didn't work. But the Gemara
Okay.
then but the Gemara then is happy with this proof, even though it's not as good a proof maybe. But it's enough. The Gemara is happy though. You don't say this chiluk. Every woman is not going to lose ksuba only if she was warned. And that's the end of that sugya. The Gemara continues. Iboilu, Overas aldas. New question. Averes aldas, Rasa Bal Lakaimo, Lakaimo and Makaimo. She is a Averes aldas. She's a prutza. She's doing these things. She's talking too much with people, and she's goes with the hair uncovered, and maybe she's Mesiachet, let's say. But the husband wants to keep her anyway.
He wants to keep it.
Husband
Kind
wa-
of means he
To
wants,
maintain her. He wants to maintain her.
yeah.
May he or may he not?
So
So
I see Mehi.
may he maintain her or may he not? He has to divorce her. So this is not talking about ksuba anymore. This is talking about can he keep her as a wife? So just a little, I think of shot that I think so, that midaraisa, this is not a great question over the raisa, it's a question under Rabbana. The Veres Aldas is a din Rabbana that we tell her that's Yehudis and she's not acting like a good Jewish woman, so the husband could divorce her. Maybe the Gemara says maybe he has to divorce her. That's what it's saying. Maybe he's not
Like it's a nissa for her to be with her.
we don't know. That's what
Well,
we're talking.
no.
That's what we're talking about. That's the most question. Is there an issa to be with her? So sotah is a deraisa, and we know for the deraisa that she becomes usher to him
Yeah.
if there was a kini and a stira. Without that, she doesn't become usher to him. So I think the Gemara is not being done under the deraisa; it's being done under the rabbanan. The deraisa, she doesn't become usher to stay with him only if there was a warning and a seclusion. And we're going to have a next Gemara talking about if he could be mochel on that, but we'll get to that in a second. But on the Rabbanan level, the Rabbanan making this a Rabbanan that if she's a Veres Aldas, even if she's a Veres Aldas, then he has to divorce her. He can't say, that's the Gemara seems to say. Ain't the Makam means he's not allowed to. And the Gemara explains the question, but it's a good Rabbanan question. This is a question on the Rabbanan, not on the Raisa.
With warning or without warning? In terms of.
That was the first,
No, this
that was
is
the
just
first, the
keep-
first
Oh, we said
Gemara.
yes, it's.
The Gemara came out that you need a warning in order to
Need a
make her a Veres Aldas. But here the case would be that she was warned, and now the husband wants to keep her anyway. If she had seclusion, then it's not going to be a question. It's not going to be a
Right.
question l'chora because she became a sotah. The Gemara is going to ask soon if it's possible to be mochel on the Raisa level also. But here the Gemara is going on a Drabbana level. Is it mutter for him to maintain her, even though she was a Veres Aldas? The Gemara explains the question. Not so much an explanation, but it's a little bit more elaborate words. Mi Amina the Kpeda the Baal Talam Rachmana Bolo Kapid. O Dilma Chivin the Kapid Kapid. The word Talam Rachmana l'chora means Rabbanan. Even I'm a little confused here. Talam Rachmana usually means the Torah. The Torah is called Rachmana. Rachmana literally means the merciful one. That's Hashem. So that usually means on the Raisa. Here we're talking about Rabbanan l'chora. So the question is, did the din of Veres Aldas, did the Rabbanan make it because the husband cares about it, and therefore they allowed him to divorce her without ksuba? But if he wants to keep her, he can keep her. If he's not makbid, even though she's acting like a prutza, he's not makbid, he could maintain her. Oh,
They did
Dilma,
it for his benefit, but he doesn't have to.
right, the words don't mean that, but you're right. The point is that he's doing it because it's dependent on the kpeda of the husband, on the, I say the word kpeda in English, that he's makbid, that he cares about it. What's the word for makbid?
Concerned?
More concerned.
A little bit more of a kpeda. Okay,
He's being
Okay.
exacting, whatever.
yeah, and if he, every Chiloni couple that they don't care. So does that make her usher? Oh, Dilma chivin the kapit. So I would have thought the other side is that we care. I would have thought the Gemara says does it depend if he cares and he doesn't care, or do we care? The Chachamim,
Even the other side. would
the other
be-
side. But the Gemara doesn't say that. The Gemara says since he's makbid, he's makbid. But what do we mean? He's not makbid. So Rashi says it means since husband is usually makbid. Since most husbands are makbid, so
Well, they should be mad, but
Or
they
they
don't know
should.
if most people.
even the couple. But
Wait,
the words
so
don't.
they
The
did
words
it?
don't say that too much.
I understand why the double.
Kapid de Baal
or-
Tala Rahmana, the Halo Kapid, who Udum Kevin to Kapid, the Kapid Kapid.
Since he, the words literally mean since he's makbid, he's makbid. But it doesn't make sense because he's not makbid. The case is he's not
Right,
makbid over here.
exactly.
So Rashi says, "Klom b'chivin the orche the baal makbid bachi al korche da'inam you have a kped l'gabei." Since most husbands are makbid, so he also has to be makbid. We tell him you're makbid. He says, "I'm not makbid." We hit him on the head and said, "You're makbid." So the words are a little hard. Why does the
Oh,
Gemara
I
say
see.
that? Why doesn't the Gemara say we're makbid? I'm not sure why the
Kevin the
Gemara
Kapid.
doesn't say what we would have said, but that's what the Gemara
Well,
says.
We the based in.
Yeah. Am Yisrael cares if they are such women. So the Gemara doesn't say that. The Gemara says that most husbands are makbid, so therefore he's also supposed to be makbid. So that's the question: could the husband maintain his wife even though she's a very saldas? Tashma.
It's like almost that it's forcing him because it's kapid. It's like every time you have a double lashon, it means that it's
No.
emphasized.
Since people are makbid, he must be makbid.
Right.
It's not just saying kapid. It's saying since most people are makbid, he's also supposed to be makbid. It's a sentence. It's just missing.
Mhm.
Tashma. A right from our Mishnah. Again, back to the case that we understand that this
All
woman is
tashmas are raya. Is that what usually a tashma?
come in here. Come in here.
I've got another raya. That's that.
I have a right. Come here, my proof. It says in the Mishnah, "Ve'elu shebezdin maknim lahem." This we had a second ago, that the bezdin warns a woman who her husband is not available to warn her. If the husband is a cheresh or shoto, that he's in prison, so bezdin takes the authority to give her kinoi. What's the problem? If the husband has a right to maintain her, even though she's overis aldas, avdi bezdin midi the dilmal or nicholei labal. The bezdin is going to do something that the husband doesn't want.
Yeah,
Means
yeah.
if there's a tzad to say, they're only doing it as his
I
representative.
thought it's not allowed. Why are you saying it's representation? I thought there should be preachers.
No, we're doing it as a kinui of a sotah. We're
Yeah,
taking
but why-
the place
why-
of the husband. We're not involved because we care because the husband's supposed to. The husband could do it. A regular wife, a regular woman that the husband has the right. If he wouldn't be a cheresh shota, bezdin he wasn't come in. But since she's a cheresh shota, he's not around, so bezdin takes his place. But bezdin only can take his place if it's something that he would want. But
Right.
it's
About
possible.
lekaima or lo lekaima?
It has to be something that bezdin would not go against his will. If he's not allowed to be mekaymer, even if he wants to, so then bezdin's not making it worse for him because he's not. She's a very saldas. Bezdin would give him send him a letter to the prison that you should know your wife is a very saldas. You're not allowed to leave. You're not allowed to stay with her. But if the law is that he is allowed to stay with her, so how could bezdin cause him an injustice that they're going to take away his wife because they're going to make her into very saldas, and he's not going to be able to live with her anymore. Again, if he has the option of keeping her, even though she's a very saldas, now Bezdin is going to make her into a sotah, and he's not going to be able to keep her. After Bezdin needed the Bezdin is going to do something the husband doesn't want. They're making her into a sotah. If you say that he's not allowed to keep her, even with midrabanan, even though some the Raisa for sure is not. The only question is drabanan. But if the rabbanan already instituted that very saldas, the husband's not allowed to keep her.
Right.
So now they're not making it worse for him by making her into a sotah because anybody is not allowed to marry her midrabanan. It's true, but the rice he was that the rabbanan could do. The rabbanan made a takana. We're making her asata. He's not allowed to keep
And they
her.
can't be makil on such a.
Right,
even
and then,
though
then we're not taking away any schus of his. He has no schus anymore because rabbanan made a takana that a very saldas is asata to keep. So then it would make sense that we do make her into a sotah, and she's not gonna drink, but she's gonna lose the ksuba.
So it wouldn't make sense that he has the right to stay.
It must be that he doesn't have the right. That's right. It must be
And they're
that,
not to keep
and
her.
therefore Bezdin is not making it worse for him. That's the Gemara's proof that he cannot be mekaymer. But the Gemara rejects this proof. Stam of the milsa we can assume that he would want Bezdin to do kinoi. Means it's true. There are some husbands out there that maybe not makbid, but we're allowed to assume that this husband probably is going to be makbid, and therefore, we want to be mekaymer. So we're not making it worse. We're not making it worse by giving her kinoi because the husband probably would be happy that we should give her kinoi, and he doesn't want to maintain her. So the Gemara rejects the proof. So the Gemara leaves it without a proof. The Gemara is going further that he's happy with it. He's content with Bezdin to make her kinoi because even though without the kinui, he technically would be allowed to maintain her, but he probably doesn't want. Since he's a Averos Aldas, he probably doesn't want. The number of people, the Gemara agrees that most people would not want. The question was, is he an exception? We don't have to assume that he's an exception. We could assume that he's part of the most people. Most people would be makbid. The Gemara decided that he can't go against the norm. The Gemara says, I don't know. Maybe he could, but we don't have to assume that he's not the norm. We could assume he's the norm. So we do kinoi, and even though we are maybe causing him a problem, if he's going to be one of those minority that's not makbid, we caused him a problem because now we made her into a sotah. We don't have to assume that he's a minority. We could assume he's part of the majority, and therefore we could do kinoi and make her usher to him. So the Gemara doesn't know the answer to that question. Next question, Iboilu. Now we're going into the derisive question now. Till now we're talking about Rabbanans, Averos Aldas. One question was if she needs a warning in order to take away ksuba. One question was if he could maintain her if he wants to. And now we're going into the derisive question. A regular dinei sotah. Iboilu. Bal shemochal al kinuya, kinuya mochal o eino mochal. You know, to be her into a sotah, he has to have kinuya and stira. He warned her. What if he wants to retract his warning?
He warned her, and then if she goes into seclusion, can he retract?
Right. So the way you're saying it now is should the be true, but that's he said a chiddush. He said a chiddush that even after she has seclusion.
Oh, that's
So that's questionable. The Gemara's going to get into that soon.
first. We want to know even before anything happens.
Right. He warned her, and if she's going to go into seclusion, she's going to go to sotah.
Can he
And
take
then he
it?
says, on second thought, I take back. I retract. I retract
Because this is
it.
the rice issue.
We're talking about the rice issue. I mean,
Right, so it's the rice issue, like you can't really retract.
maybe.
Why
He could.
can't he
Why not?
retract? I would think he should be able to retract.
You have to talk to each other. I'm David saying why. How could he? And you're saying
I'm saying he's good.
he and Chaim said that he
He said,
shouldn't
I'm
be.
sorry I said that. You know, that's I just,
Sorry, he doesn't have to be sorry.
huh?
He doesn't have to be sorry. He should say, "What are you doing?"
Okay, so it's already warning that.
But I retract my warning. I don't want to make you feel something.
I'm not standing on my rights.
Right.
No, but there's Chazal already warned, we learned earlier.
What Chazal?
that it
What
warned-
Chazal?
Chazal already warned him that he shouldn't run after a
What do you
warning.
mean,
He
Chazal?
shouldn't warn.
Who
He
said
should
he
try
should-
not to, he shouldn't do. He said that,
I don't recall.
he said it's not a good thing,
Who said it's not a good thing?
because we don't know how to get out of it. Because then there's nothing to do.
Why is it nothing to
But
do?
once he's given the warning.
Yes.
Said this
then
man is
he's stuck, then.
She drinks the wine
Come
memorial.
out, this man is
We're not talking. That's not a subject. We're not talking about the one. We're talking about the regular Minnesota doesn't have a right to retract.
You're saying, listen, okay, you're right. But there's
I mean, but anyway, does the husband have a right to retract his kingdom? What's your time?
Yes,
He does have a right. Why? Why not?
he was angry and he's upset, and then he said, but the ramifications are too serious, so I'll take
Yeah,
it.
but it's a
You know
real-
how I feel, but it's not a warning.
Okay, the Gemara has two studies. Let's see. We are reading on beginning about Tel Rahman or about Kinuyo. I don't see the Gemara's not explaining so much. The Gemara
Yeah,
says, do we say that the issue of the Torah depended on his warning, and he was mochel his warning, so he can retract. That's what Leib Yaakov took the side. Since he gave her a warning, he can't retract. I don't see an explanation. The Gemara doesn't explain.
The Torah made it for his benefit. So if he wants to get out of it, then it was only for his benefit in the first place. Or once he said it, it's too late to do anything about it.
I'm not sure if it says in the words that it did it for his benefit. The Torah said that she becomes a sotah if he warns, and he retracted his
Well,
warning.
Tala Rahmana.
The Torah depended it. The Torah hung it on his warning.
I thought they were, that meant they were doing it for him.
It could be, whatever, but it's not in the words. Like you want to say that's what it means, it could be. But Odilma, what's out of side?
There's a new word here.
That it's a Torah.
Yes, that he warned her originally. And so that we know he warned her originally, now he wants to retract. So it says may or may not. I don't see that the Gemara is saying a spoiler on either side that says may he or may he not.
It sounds the same as the kasha, right?
So I don't know what the Gemara is explaining, but that's the Gemara's question. Could a husband retract
Well,
his?
it's a,
warning.
this is a law, right?
It's a law.
It's a pasuk that he warns her.
He warns her, and then
So if it's a
the rule-
pasuk that he warns her, the side would be. He did something that's in the Torah. How can you take it back?
it's not. I mean,
Taking my side. You can.
what's inside? I mean, he.
Is it taking my side?
It's not that he made a chalus, but that effect he could retract. he's any kind of like,
No, the second side. So how
that
are
he
you?
can, that he
Oh,
cannot
Dilma, how are
retract.
you, how are you
Or
saying
maybe
it?
since once he wanted, he cannot retract.
That's what I'm trying to explain.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a pasuk that he warns her. So once he warns her, he did something in the Torah that
But
said.
maybe you could retract, because I don't get. You're saying an explanation, or you're saying that what the
That's what I
word
was
saying?
saying, but you're saying it's not an.
I don't see the explanation. I mean, whatever side you're gonna say is gonna be being put into the words. Like, that doesn't say, the word just say, may he or may he not. May he retract or may he not retract. So I don't know. I don't know what the Gemara is explaining. Before the Gemara also, I think the Gemara on the whole page, it didn't have to explain. Like the beginning, does he need a warning? Do you need a warning? We don't need a warning. So I'm not sure what the Gemara's explanations are. But the Gemara is gonna try a few proofs over here. And at the end, we are gonna find the answer. Tashma. Again, what's the question? If a husband could retract his warning. Tashma.
The rice. The sotah.
Under the rice of
Under
sotah.
the-
So Levi Yaakov said maybe even after she's secluded. The truth is the Gemara does think so. At this point, the Gemara thinks the question includes even after she's secluded, and now she's a real sotah, and she's also to have relations. Could he say I retracted with a warning, and there was only a seclusion without a warning,
Oh, and then he'd be able to be.
and even
permitted.
that
That'll be a
that
bigger chiddush.
that'd be a
And
big
he'd be
chiddush. That'd be a big chiddush.
And
But
he'd be permitted.
you see from the first Gemara's proof that the Gemara thought in the question that it goes even in such a case, even after she has seclusion, maybe you could retract the warning, and it's a seclusion without warning. Tashma, Ve'elish Bezin Maknan Lahen. Maybe I made a mistake. Let's see. Ve'elish Bezin Maknan, Mishin Escharish Balo, and Shtato, Shoyechovish Veis. Assume we just said it a couple of times that if the husband's not available to do a kino, Bezin takes over. Bezin makes a kino. If it's possible for the husband to retract his kino, does it make sense? Bezin's going to warn her, and then the guy's going to come out of jail and say, "I retract. I don't want the warning." This has nothing to do with the fact if she's secluded or not. That's the next Gemara, what I meant. But
If
so far, the Gemara
he's in
says,
jail and he's gonna come out, he's gonna say, I don't want that.
right.
That's the question.
If it's possible, if he has the right to retract, so Bezin's going to do something, and then the husband's going to retract everything that they did. What's so terrible? What's the kasha? So Rashi says that it's not going to look good for the Bezdin. Like Bezdin got up all up in arms, and what's happening over here? She's hanging around with men. They warn her, don't do it again. You're going to become a sot if you do. The husband comes out and he says it's okay, it's fine, whatever they get so excited about, it's good. So that doesn't look good for the Bezdin. It says he loses the Beidina. It looks bad for Bezdin that they took up, made a big thing out of something, and then the husband comes and says everything's fine. That's the Gemara's kasha. The Gemara answers, and therefore the Gemara thinks it must be that he cannot retract. Otherwise, Bezdin wouldn't make action on something that he might retract. The Gemara answers, some of the mills are the maskim al does Bezdin. Usually we could assume that he's going to agree to Bezdin. If Bezdin saw fit to warn her and make her into a sotah, we could assume he's not going to retract it, even though he has the right. So it's not a kasha. You're worried about losing the Beidina, it's not going to happen. This is not going to look bad because he's probably not going to retract, but he does have the right to. So the Gemara doesn't accept this proof. Proof number 2, Tashma.
The second proof.
Second proof, right? To try.
Oh, we only read the rice.
Okay. Well, yeah, second proof. The first one didn't work. Second one, that when they go to Sanhedrin Agadol on the way from their city, the local Bezdin sends along an escort of 2 Talmidei Chachamim because they might have relations on the way.
Mhm.
What's the problem if they have relations on the way? Let him.
Oh, let him.
We already spoke
let him
about
forgive-
that. We always said that then she can't drink.
No, let him forego on the.
Yeah, but what's the
Let's
so
say
she
she
so
can't
yeah,
let
she
him
won't
forgo
drink.
on
So
the-
Okay,
they'll have relations,
they're
they'll-
forbidden. She
Yeah,
was a
that's what-
sotah.
No, let him be mochel his kinoi.
So we're gonna say it looks bad.
Then there's no end to.
No, the Gemara is asking why you send it. What's your concern? He's sending to be the chachamim. Very serious issue over here. What's going to happen? He'll have relations. He can have relations if he wants to. He can tell them
Say the canoe is off.
the kinoi is off and let's go home and have relations.
But
And
then
then,
the whole thing's a joke.
what's the joke? If he doesn't choose to do kinoi, it's not a joke. A husband is wife.
No, but all the Hakpedas are based in are falling apart. You know, there was the standard of womanhood is going down. It's allowing women to.
The husband has to do kinoi. The husband doesn't have to do kinoi. His wife is not acting properly. He warned her. That made a new
But that
official.
already is Megaledat that she is a prutza.
And not-
She's some kind of
She's a
prutza.
yeah, she is, yeah,
She is.
but if he has the
So
right
once it's
to,
Galedat, so then of course the Beit Din.
does he have a right to retract?
I mean, that's our discussion.
That's
I
how
don't know where we're
discussion.
holding
So
right now.
you have to have two equal. You have to have an open mind.
Yeah, well,
That we have two
yeah.
studies. Either he could or he can. And then what is asking if he could, what's best in sending along shluchim for to make sure he doesn't have relations. If he wants to, we could have relations. He could tell her, my wife, I'm retracting the kinoi and the sotah business is off, and don't do it again. But
Here's a-
don't do it again.
here's
I don't mean,
what's-
I don't mean to warn you, don't do it again. But between me and you, don't do it again. But I'm not-
That's what you call a span in the ratchet. That's gonna knock off all the options to resolve this thing. Once he sleeps with her,
Here's a-
then
You're not going with the Gemara. The Gemara is saying that there's only the whole issue of you're going when he did not retract. If he didn't retract and he warned her and she had seclusion, she's also to have relations until she drinks. If they have relations, it's not going to help. But the Gemara is asking, there's an issue over here that he could retract. If he could retract, the whole thing is off. So what's the problem? He's saying go to me the Chacham and make sure he doesn't have relations. He wants to have relations, he can have relations. He tells the two to me the Chacham, I'm mochel, and there's no kinoi. And we're back here. What?
And we're going back home.
I'm going back home. I'm happily married, and she's going to be good from now on. She told me.
I'll buy you that diamond ring you want.
Let him be mochel his warning and have relations. What's the problem?
You put the canoe
I mean, it sounds
together.
pretty light. That's what-
Yes, let him be mochel his kinui.
Huh?
Pretty light.
He amart.
Kinui.
If you're saying, that, huh?
That's a quotation. If you're going to say that husband who retracted his kinui, it's a good retraction.
Oh, I see.
So let him be mochel his kinui and have relations. What's the problem? The Gemara answers. This is a little strange the way the Gemara answers. The Gemara says that he could, and that's why. On the contrary, that's why he sent along to me the Chachamim that they tell him if you want to have relations, be mochel your kinui first. Maishna to me. This is the answer. The answer starts from Maishna. Maishna to me the Chachamim. You know why he sent to me the Chachamim? The Gemiri that they learned. They're learned. They tell him if he wants to have relations, they tell him first be mochel your kinui. On the contrary, they'll help him out.
Right, you gotta do the step is first mochel,
Right.
then.
So you don't see that you can't be mochel. The Gemara told us a right that you can't be mochel. The
Right.
Gemara says you don't see that. On the contrary, they could be mochel, and that's
And it
what the
might
job
be
is to
the
tell them.
reason that they came.
They even came to
Wasn't
give
for
you advice. You want to have relations, go ahead, but first be mochel. If you're not going to be mochel,
That's right.
then you did then
So
she's
no-
was so.
That's not in the ratchet and the span in the ratchet because he's not going with the Das Chachamim. He's doing his own thing. He's having a relationship with her. But you don't know anything about the halacha, whether she's permitted to bichlal. Who are you, the victim, let's call
So
it?
if he would know,
Who are you to
the truth is,
to prosecute for yourself to have a relationship with him? There's
so
a problem here. She's
she's a
could be
so,
on so the right at this point.
so we tell him that you could be mochel. You have the right to be mochel.
Right, but
So
you
the truth is, you don't
wait
have to.
for their start. That's what I
Okay,
mean.
the truth is, you don't have to, I would ask, you don't have to send along to me the chum that. You can tell him before he leaves, you can tell him, go to Bezdin, to Yerushalayim. If on the way you decide that you want to retract, so retract, then come home and have relations. But he doesn't have, you don't have to send to me the chum for that. So I don't know.
You're saying it's a little push.
It's a little bit pushed because you don't have to send along to me the chum, but it's a big trip to go to Yerushalayim wherever they come. What do you have need that for?
But you can't prove that they're there for nothing if you do.
You can't prove that he cannot be mochel. Maybe on the contrary, he could be mochel, and that's what the job is to tell him how to do it
Yes,
correctly.
maybe their presence, they will allow him to say, listen, Rabbatai, can you help me out? I don't want to
Okay,
accuse
And
my
the
wife.
Gemara said that it's also for Eidos.
that's the pasha. The pasha says that it's faith is that she shouldn't be able to bring.
So
Right.
even Eidos to say that it was that he had.
If he can be mochel, he doesn't have to continue going. You know, if he has if he was not mochel, then he had relations, then they'll come along to say that they can't drink, and she's usher. Okay. Third proof, Tashma. So we didn't succeed yet. Could he be mochel or not? Tashma, don't Rav Yoshia. Rav Yoshia said, Zira from the people of Yerushalayim, Anshe Yerushalayim, he lived in Yerushalayim. He told me three things. Rav Yoshia did live in Yerushalayim. Zira did. And Rav Yoshia said, Zira from Yerushalayim told me three things. One is, Baal, Shemachal Kinuyi Kinuyi Mochel. Second, Mamre Shavas Residence Lumchalo Mochlano. Third, Ben Sorosh Mora Shavas Ababami Molim Chalo Mochlano. Three things he said. That husband can be mochel his warning. That's our subject. That's what we wanted. A husband could be mochel his kinui. Second of all, zaken mamre. Zaken mamre means that he was an elder. He was one of a talmidei chachamim, and he paskined against the bezdin. The Sanhedrin Agad made a psak, and he goes against them, and he continues paskining lahalacha lamaisa his opinion against the Sanhedrin Agad. So he's chayv misa, but it's against the covenant of the Sanhedrin Agad. Maybe Sanhedrin could be mochel. So he said the bezdin Sanhedrin Agad could be mochel, and they won't kill him. Mochel him. And the third one is Ben Sora Mora, that That's the din of the wayward son, that the father and the mother, they bring him and say that he's not listening to us. So Leo, so he's a glutton, and he's how do you say a glutton and how do you say someone who drinks
A drunkard, I don't know.
He drinks.
someone who drinks a lot,
I forget. Guzzler?
a glutton, and a guzzler. And he's chayv misa. The kid's going to be chayv misa after they warn him and they give him malchus, and that does it again. And he steals. The Gemara says all the conditions. He steals from his parents, from his father, and he becomes ben so much. Yeah, there's a lot of details over there. But anyway, could they be mochel? And he's chayv misa. Now, so it says that could they retract or not? So he said also they can retract.
So these are three mochels.
Three mochels,
That
all
he taught.
mochels. Three of them. One is the husband for his wife Sota. One is Zakan Mamre, it's Sanhedrin against the Zakan Mamre, and one is the parents for the Ben Solar Mora. And all three of them they could be mochel. Rabbi Yosha continues talking. He's still part of the brisa. When I came to my friends in the south, which was Yerushalayim, they were in the north. Rabbi Yosha was in the north, and Zira, that's the north, that's the south. When I came there, I asked them what they think. They agreed to me about two, about the husband, Sota, and about the parents of the Sol Ben Sora Mora. But Zakan Mamre, they said no. So the Ibn Machlokas be Yisrael. That it shouldn't be Machlokas. It isn't the option of the Sanhedrin Agam to be Mochel. We want it to be Machlokas. He's not allowed, they're not allowed to be Mochel. So anyway, what do
What
we
would the
have?
machlokas be?
That
Because
everyone's going to say their own opinion. It's not going to be one authority of Sanhedrin Agam. There has to be one central authority. And he's doing his own thing. And it's going to be Machlokas. Everyone's going to do their own thing. The Sanhedrin's going to say, it's okay, we have our opinion, but you do what you want. Each road's going to do what they want. It's not good. There has to be one central authority. Anyway, what do you want? Why do you see as far as we're concerned? Shramina, Baal Shemachal Kinoi, Kinoi Machal, Shramina. Very nice. The husband could be Mochel. Now it goes into the.
What about the other two? It doesn't matter the other two, right?
It's not our subject, but you have to know that the husband, father, the parents could be Mochel their son. They say also till the Gemara din, till once the Bezin Paskin is Chayv Misa, they can't retract anything too late. But before that, they could. And the Zaken Mamre, we hold that they cannot.
Oh, they cannot.
Sanhedrin cannot be Mochel. And we're saying that, but the husband says here that he could. That's what we wanted. That was our subject. The husband could be Mochel, his kinun. Now it goes into the subject that I brought in right away. That is not so simple. How about if it's after the seclusion? He surely could be Mochel before the seclusion. That's what we just came out. How about even after she's secluded? Could it be Mochel also? The Gemara before thought that as part of the question because it brought a case of the on the way to Yerushalayim. On the way, that means that she already secluded.
she already
Secluded, and then the Gemara thought it's also approved. Now the Gemara is going to say it could be over there. Everyone holds that he cannot seclude, retract, and that's going to be the maskana. We're going to come out that after the seclusion. So the right before is not a riot. On the way to Bezin is too late. You don't have to say this thing that they're going to tell him be mochel. He surely can't be mochel. That's going to be the maskana. But first the Gemara thought that the question was even after the seclusion. And here goes machlokas. Machlokas between these two amoraim. He only could be mochel before the seclusion. Once you're secluded, he can't be mochel anymore. He can be mochel even after seclusion. Machlokas. And it's more reasonable, like the Madam that says he can't be mochel after they secluded. From where do we have a proof to that? The response that the Rabbanan said to Rabbi Yossi. What happened over there? This is the question about do you need to have an escort or Talmidei Chachamim on the way to Yerushalayim that he might have relations with his wife. So we said before that yes, he sent along two Talmidei Chachamim. That was Rabbanan. You have an escort that he shouldn't have relations with his wife. Rabbi Yossi Omer that the husband is believed and he doesn't you don't have to have an escort. And the Avrohom, Mani the Shibukores, Balanem Allah, Sota Shibalav, Lakoshkin, which is more serious, Anida or a Sota? Anida is a Kores. A Sota that he has relations with his wife, who's a Sota, is only a Lav. It's the Raisa, but it's only a Lav, it's not Kores. So if a husband is believed to be in the seclusion with his wife, who's a Nida, which is more serious, so he's surely believed to be in seclusion with his wife, who's a Sota, which is only a Lav. Over there, the Gemara says could be on the contrary here on the sentence, could be that the more serious it is, the more trustworthy.
If she's accused, isn't that more serious than?
What does that have to do with him?
Anida?
What does that have to do with him? We don't want the
We're
husband.
talking about the husband.
We don't want the
For him,
husband.
it's a bigger love Anida than to be.
The need is a.
Sota to the husband, not Sota to not
Yeah, I
that.
understand.
So the Sota to the husband is only a certain love. Allah saying the leader is a chiv koros. So if he's trusted to be with a chiv koros in the same house, seclusion like every husband and wife when she's a leader, so of course he should be trusted with Isolav. This is supposed to say the opposite. He say on contrary, since it's more serious, he's more scared of it. And that's the Gemara says over there.
Yeah, so-
But
yeah, I thought we knocked it off.
right, that's the Gemara over there. But anyway, it continues. Amulo, low. The Rabbanan said back to Rabbi Yossi, it's not approved. Imamata benida shekein yesh laheter, kama basota shein laheter. That a nida is easier for a man to be in seclusion with a nida and not transgress the law. Because he knows it's only temporary. A nida is only temporary. Afterwards, you go to the mikvah, it'll be mutter. So like pas pasala, like he knows that it'll be mutter eventually. So that's why he's trusted to be in seclusion with her and not choshed that he's going to have relations. But a sotah, there's no way to get out of it, only if she's going to drink. So therefore, it's harder to hold back his temptation because there's no way to get out of it. And therefore, you see, therefore, there's a reason that he does have to have an escort. He has to have a chaperone because he can't be trusted because there's no way to get out of it.
This is a different kind of a push off of the couple.
Right. And the Gemara says, oh, what do you say? There's no way to get out of it. There's no way to get out of it. Let him be mochel. If he has the option of being mochel, even after the seclusion, because we're talking about on the way to Bezdin, that she's secluded already. So why are you talking about Ein Laheter? Of course, the Yesh Laheter. He could say, I'm taking the King of York.
Maybe.
So this shows that he
maybe
can't.
he's in a state of rogue.
So this shows that he can't.
He's not mochel because he's still.
But you can't say Ein Laheter. You can't say that he has no way to have relations with this woman. He does have a way. He should be mochel the Kinoi, then he can have relations. He has a way to get out of it.
But since we're saying here that, aren't we saying here that we're proving that we don't know the answer?
No, we're saying we have an answer. We have a proof
We have an answer that
he cannot be mochel after seclusion. If you hold that he's not to be mochel even after she has seclusion with somebody, you have a way of having a heter to be with her. He could be mochel his warning, and then he can have relations. You see that once she's secluded with somebody, he can't retract the warning anymore. And that's the halacha. The husband could retract his warning before she's secluded. He warned her, don't seclude with that man. And then before she secludes, he takes it back. I retract the warning. That he could do. But once she has seclusion, then she's a sotah and he can't retract it anymore. And therefore, the proof we had before about the shluchim and stuff, it goes off. You don't have to say this thing about they tell them that if you want to have relations, be mochel first. On the contrary, they say you can't, there's no way to have relations with her, and you can't retract anymore. Go a little bit further. What do you do if the husband, back to the Mishnah, the husband died? Kini and Stira, she's asa, and then the husband died. So, she's not going to drink because she can't be with her husband dead anyway. But does she get ksuba or not? So as Machlokes B'Sham Beisil says she gets ksuba. Beisil says he doesn't get ksuba. Mike, was Machlokes B'Sham Yom Mishtay Omed Duvos Gavi Domei. He said that Machlokes says who's considered the muhsik, who's considered the one who has the money, who's the default by. So B'Shamai says that the money is by her, even though she didn't collect, but she has a shtar. He's mechuyev to give her ksuba, so she's considered the muhsik in the money. If it's a suffix, she gets it. So Savri,
the monkey business in between, doesn't that?
that's a suffix if she's was Mazana or not. So that's the
Our
question.
homemade-
A contract which is made to collect is considered collected. It's considered
was considered collector, so it's by her.
right, and therefore you don't know. Now it's a, it means the ksuba is by her. Now the
So
question
she
is,
could collect
does she lose it or not?
Yes.
So Mr. Muksik, so Savri, and Basil says that's not considered. He's the muksik, so he doesn't have to pay the suffix. Every ksuba, when there's a suffix, it doesn't have to pay ksuba or not. Basil says he doesn't have to pay. The Shammai says he does have to pay because it's considered she's a muksik.
Didn't we already have that answer?
I explained it when we went to the mission.
When you
I
explained it.
said it in the mission without the without having the.
So now we explain.
Okay, I guess we'll stop here, even though okay, it's a short. Tomorrow we'll be there tomorrow. Okay, yes, go ahead, everybody.
Is it Rosh Hashem tonight?
What is that? Today, I'm sorry.
Give it a share tonight.
Yes, 7 o'clock tonight.
Okay, thank you. Okay, have a good day.
Okay.